Discretion is advised.
Happy Thursday. You're listening and or watching Pwnecast. This is episode 193. We are in patch 7.3.2. Still, unfortunately, crappy. Yes, no, maybe, soon. I don't know. Tonight we're going to be talking about all the news from around Azeroth. We're going to be talking about the PTR latest build updates. Some small things added, but important nonetheless. We're also going to be going back to the future, back in the future, back from the future, but in the past. I don't know. There's going to be some weird back to the future in Azeroth type of weird stuff. And we're going to figure out what it may or may not mean. We have that and much, much more. So make sure you guys stay right here.
You have crossed into the world of the dead in search of answers.
Amongst the Azeroth elite, there is a group that defies convention. A group that stands in the face of trolls and doesn't flinch. A group that strives on unity, trust, and unwavering resolve. A group that eats tacos. For the players, by the players, we bring you. She can start a revolt with a Chaos Bolt, Bell, the Pwnecast Vanguard. With holy might as strong as his ancient knowledge, Remedies, the Argent Warmaster. We bow to no one. We are Legion. We are Pwnecast.
Welcome back. Hi.
Hi.
I was trying to make it less awkward, but it seemed to be even more awkward by me making it less awkward. And then you totally look like you look like Mr. Burns.
Excellent.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Belle, and here with me is my co-host Remedies.
Ahoy, hoy.
Hoy, hoy. So, couple things that we're going to address before we get into the show. These types of things to address are not always easy or comfortable for me specifically, but they're things that have to be done, unfortunately.
Just gotta nip it in the bud.
Yeah, you just gotta address it. So obviously, I'm sure by now, those of you that are watching have noticed that we are missing Gemma Banks. And if you're listening on the audio version, yes, we are missing Gemma Banks. Gemma has decided that he wants to do other things for Pwnecast in other capacities, and he's just not feeling the podcast vibe. Now, for those of you who might not know, this kind of stuff happens. We've seen a lot of change. I've addressed the change pretty much head on with each change that happens, but the reality of the situation is this is what happens when people do this for so long. They just feel like they need to do other things, and he just has a lot in his real life with work and other things going on, and the show just can't be his priority. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. God, Belle, you ran him off? While that may be true, that's not. Yeah, that's not exactly true. It was a tough decision for him, I'm sure, to make, and I know that he probably struggled for a little while with what he wanted to do direction-wise, but he's still a part of Pwnecast. He's still going to be doing things. We'll probably have him on the show for major pet battle stuff and things like that. For now, it's just going to be Rem and I. Now, normally, my normal process is I replace a cast member. Over the last couple of years, it's come to my attention that I don't want to do that anymore. And part of the reason I don't want to do that anymore is because it's too hard on me to go through all those things and replace people. So Rem and I are going to try to carry this on as best we can. Obviously, go ahead.
I mean, we both have like 2 or 3 personalities, so it makes up for that.
Right? I have like 12 myself, guys. There's like 12 different sides of me that can happen at any moment. Rem seen 4 of them earlier when I was trying to fix stuff. We didn't decide to not do the show live just because with it being just Rem and I, obviously we're going to need to change the format, and we wanted to talk to you about the way that that format is going to look moving forward. This might change. It might change according to feedback. It might change according to ideas that we get. We are going to continue to go back live the following week. We don't know what day we're going to move the show. It's likely that we might move the show to Saturdays. We're not 100% sure. Maybe those of you who listen and watch can send an email to beltpwnecast.net or comment on the YouTube, or if you're listening, to any other audio version, just send an email.
Even better time frames as well, that if you were to do live, because later in the day,
right,
time zones, all that good stuff, we'll work out the kinks for.
Yeah, so best days for you guys if you are interested in watching live. If you're not interested in watching live, it's no big deal. You don't have to bother with it, but we do want to try to get as many of you in that window as we possibly can to make sure that our live time is effective so that you guys can kind of jump in on the conversation. With the new format, there's going to be lots of things that we're going to be adding, and we'll talk about some of those things here shortly. And also, we are going to be dropping the show down to an hour. With it just being two of us, we don't really have that need to have a full 2-hour show. It just doesn't make sense to have that, which is fine. And starting next week, we will also have the pre-show, which I think will be pretty funny with Rem and I, because, we're pretty great people, so.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like he potentially might be more entertaining than me, but that's because he's
entertaining, yes, in the sense that I do random shit, but, your freakouts are pretty entertaining, so.
Well, we should have recorded earlier, because boy, was it awesome. Also, some new things coming our way. We're changing up some things regarding the show. We're going to have new intros and all kinds of new stuff. So hopefully you guys can ride the storm with us. For those of you who have been here from the beginning and have seen the change, it's been tough and it's been rough, but we're going to keep on trucking, guys, because that's what we do. We keep on trucking. And if Rem,
we dig it, okay?
If Rem ever tries to leave, I'm going to have to kill him, because I can't do this on my own. It just doesn't make any sense.
How do I do SOS with blinking?
I also, this week, I took a poll of a lot of our viewers that I could reach quickly and easily. And part of what we're doing for the new format, and us really deciding to go on, because it was that moment where I wasn't sure where we were going to go from there, if there was any point or anything like that. But I did kind of poll the community of a lot of our listeners and viewers and got really, really solid feedback. So I'm really happy about that. Now, as far as Jim is concerned, Jim is a friend. We will see him again. You guys can follow him on his Twitter at JimmaBanks. Follow him on all of his things on his Snapchat. Mm-hmm. Stay in touch with him. He will be, like I said, he's continuing on with Pwnecast in whatever capacity he's defining. I'm giving him time to define what that looks like for him. I want him to have a good mix of a tiny commitment without feeling like it's overwhelming for him. So you will see him. I'm sure we'll bring him on. Also, as part of the new show, we do plan on rotating out guests. I don't really know what that looks like as far as how many in a time frame. I'm thinking we might start off with 1 or 2 a month and just see how it goes. I know those of you who watch other podcasts, they have rotating guests. Like, there's lots of really good formats with just 2 hosts that work. Mm-hmm. But for me, I got to make sure that I can chase people to be on this show from a week to week. So we'll probably start off with 1 or 2. Probably towards the end of the month. I think our first guest is actually going to be Epic Insanity from Frozen Nerds podcast. I spoke with him yesterday. Yeah, he's a keeper, guys. We got to have him because he's the beard. Really, it makes
both of our moms can guest on the podcast.
Right, because both of our moms are.
Kidding, we don't want that.
They're our biggest fans. My mother doesn't know anything about gaming or the internet whatsoever, and she thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. She tells me how proud she is of me, and I'm like, Mom, you don't even know if I'm even any kind of successful. And she's like, well, in the beginning, when she first started watching, she would message me and go, honey, you're so right. I'm like, Mom, you don't even
know what's going on.
You have like no clue. I love that she's supportive. And Rem's mom is an older version of myself. I'm sorry, Rem. Honestly, that's the reason we're really good friends. I couldn't understand why Rem would put up with me, right? I'm abrasive, and I'm tell it like it is. I have zero filter. I have no filter. And I don't know what I'm going to do without Jimma to kind of he balances that out and doesn't allow me to take anything
you're
too
the
seriously.
far side, and I'm just dry, so it'll be interesting.
Well, you also, somebody else pointed out to me that you do egg me on a little bit, so I don't really know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't really know what the future holds, but I'm excited, and I hope that you guys are excited too. Just bear in mind, guys, that I'm treading new water, and he's treading new water. We're figuring this out together. So hopefully, I mean, as long as there's at least one person listening, we're gonna keep on.
That's all that matters.
Keeping on. Okay. So let's get the quick news out of the way. There isn't very much this week, but there's some things that you need to note. The weekly event is going to be the Legion Dungeon event. Go do stuff. Remember, that's Tuesday, so it's not this week. It won't start until Tuesday, which I think is the 9th. And the PvP brawl is going to be the Shadow Pan Showdown. Now, this is on Tiger's Peak. I don't think I've actually done this one.
I did this one a couple times. It's a hit and miss. It can be fun, but it's not my favorite.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the basic strategy is everybody kind of races to the center to see who can control it and who can summon the boss. Or who kills the boss first? Don't you summon a boss in this one?
Everyone, each side has their own boss, and I can't remember the exact mechanics, but you have to do something, stay in the center, or collect points while in that center to power up your giant, like, Gundam or your Megazord, whatever you want to call it, and it pretty much kicks everyone's ass, and you have to kill the other one.
You know you're a nerd when you say things like Megazord. But that's what I probably would have called it. Not for nothing, the new Power Rangers was all right. It wasn't terrible. Not WoW related, but I feel like you asked that recently, Rem, if it was good or not.
I did, and I heard bad things.
I think Murky told you it was trash, but listen, I wouldn't listen to Murky's opinion because his opinion in movie, his taste in stuff is very different.
I hold his opinion to high esteem.
The only thing I trust his opinion on is food, because he's usually not wrong about that. But it was a good attempt. It wasn't terrible. It was interesting. Anyway, so for those nerds that are interested. Not WoW related, but equally as important. Okay, so make sure you guys go check out that brawl. That is on my to-do list this weekend, because I have not been in there yet.
Next weekend.
You're right. Next weekend. You're right. You're always right. I did do a fair amount of PvP last week, actually. I did quite a bit of PvP, which is fun and annoying at the same time. We'll talk about that at a different time.
Yeah.
I blame demon hunters.
I mean, I'm on that same boat because I'm ranged, so...
And I blame rogues. And I really miss you on your hunter for PvP.
If they make survival not melee, I totally would go back.
I don't think we could go that far back in time. Also, Dark Moon Fair from the 7th to the 13th. Go do whatever weird shit it is you guys do in Dark Moon Fair. I know there's a mount that Gemma talks about.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing at the moment for going to Dark Moon Fair is that Dark Moon Dirge or Zeppelin, whatever it's called. I think it's a Dirge.
I feel like it looks like a Zeppelin, so you might be right. Right?
Yeah, no, it's a little Zeppelin that looks like a little Dark Moon Fair thing.
And there's the rep buff and the experience buff for riding the carousel. You could also get the top hat. I think it's a hat.
Dirigible.
Oh, that sounds super awkward, actually.
But yeah, that's what it's called. It's a little
Zeppelin. So make sure you guys go do that, because it's especially if you're... Did you say Hindenburg?
It's no Hindenburg.
We're going to hell. We could add that to the list of people we offended, because I'm sure there's a list of people regarding the Hindenburg that's offended right now. Yeah.
Daily basis.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere fun. Well, I mean, it's fun when you're bad, I guess, right?
Yeah,
ask your mom. Fun. She would know. That's funny. Now, the stuff that happened in PTR, the Seething Shore loading screen was added, and I'm going to pop that right here.
Looks cute. Yeah.
For your guys' pleasure. It's kind of weird.
It looks more like when they're doing a concept art.
Right. I feel like there's a backstory because they've been doing art contests and they have a student art contest going on right now. So I wonder if this was a winner. Maybe that was like the prize for winning. I feel like a really bad podcaster because I feel like I should know that and I don't. But that's the loading screen. It's actually pretty cute. A little cartoonish, but I mean, different for sure. I mean, we've had the same variations of loading screens over the years. They always follow the same format, so it's kind of nice to see them stepping outside of their box a little bit, just for something different visually. Maybe not. Also, we got confirmation of the requirements for allied races that we already had. That was super awkward.
It was more of they data mined the strings before, and so it wasn't really confirmed. It's more of a up in the air thing, and now it's like been officially in the window.
Right.
So.
What happened is when you go to your embassy in PTR, people were able to see how far they were into being able to get the allied races. And apparently it's been hotfixed to where it's not visible anymore. I wonder, this is probably like the 8th or 9th thing that they've accidentally left in and had to hotfix and remove from PTR just for this patch because of the pre-BFA stuff they're doing. So I
feel like an intern did something and they weren't supposed to. And someone's like, oh.
I feel like they've been out for like 2 weeks because a lot of the Blizzard people take a ton of time off during the holidays. So I feel like the skeleton crew was there and they were just making arbitrary decisions. And somebody may or may not have gotten scolded or lost their job. So if you are an intern at Blizzard and you gave us this secret information and you lost your job, we apologize. But you can come hang out with us because we'll love you.
But thank you.
Right. I'm pretty sure I talked about it, but I don't know if I went in depth. I feel like I did didn't we talked about like
there's only like
racials?
2 or 3 major ones. Yeah. No, the racials. Yeah, we did.
And we talked about what you needed to be able to get them. And we know that you pre-purchasing BFA is likely or is part of the, you have to have it pre-purchased. But I wanted to talk to you about that because Rem and I have been talking, and here's what I think. Rem, I think you feel maybe the same way. I feel like, so we know we're retiring our artifact weapons this patch. However, it's not visible outside of spoiler text that they've pulled for the retiring of the weapon. Unfortunately, I spoiled it for myself on accident, so I know how we retire the weapon. Oh,
I assume that you hadn't done that yet, so I haven't been telling you.
No, it was an accident. I was looking at something else, and that took me to another page, and I saw visually the changes that happen after we retire our weapons to a certain thing in the world, and I was like, fuck, I totally ruined it for myself, but it's really good.
Yeah. It's not where I thought it was going, but it's interesting.
So 735, I think I was figuring about the 16th. It's likely that it could be the 21st also because of the holidays. So they might push, it might be the 21st. I don't see us going beyond the 21st, especially since this latest build was a lot of maintenance. They added a lot of things like the loading screen to Seething Shore. Like this last build was just maintenance stuff. I think for retiring the weapons, I think that's all going to be done at the end of patch 7.3.5. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Ian said that this was the last content patch of the actual expansion, right? Which is why we haven't gotten any kind of timeline on BFA, and it's also why BFA isn't in beta. They can't release anything until the last of that content is out. So until the final wing and the last patch is out, then we'll probably start seeing some dates on when alpha is going to hit. They'll probably start rolling out access because I know they're ready for it. I know you guys don't think that they are, but they're ready for it. They've been ready for it.
Oh no, it's ready internally. They're just waiting for it for the not the masses, but the special people.
Well, and I think a lot of it is they can't release anything for future stuff until we are in the current stuff. So since we're not in that final patch yet, once this patch is live, then we'll start seeing some change. So I think we'll probably see the retiring of the weapons at the end of patch 7.3.5, and I think that it's likely that there's going to be a pre-expansion patch. I don't know if there's going to be anything in between, but I think for that pre-expansion patch, and it could be, maybe there's going to be a 7.3.5.4, or maybe a 7 whatever, maybe there's going to be a 7.4, and that's going to be like the linker between.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah, and it'll be part of the pre-expansion stuff. I feel like we're going to be able to unlock these allied races before BFA. I think the idea, and I could be wrong, but if I'm Blizzard, I would want players to be able to level these allied races to play in game when BFA hits. If that's, I mean, from my perspective of thinking how Blizzard would think, that's what I would do if I was them. I would make it where players could level the allied races during the in-between, and that way when BFA hits, they have their allied races, because we're going to be leveling them from 20 to 110. Keep in mind, you can race swap your allied races, but if you race swap a current tune to an allied race, you don't get the heritage armor, because you have to level from 20 all the way to 110 in order to be able to unlock that heritage armor. Some of you, it might not matter, but Nightborn, I need to have the heritage armor. I need to be all immersed in this Nightborn situation. Right? Yeah,
no, I agree with your mindset.
When you're in the void, right? You're all about that void.
You know, the void armor, I mean, I'm not like, oh my god, I have to get it, but that's one of the heritage armors I'm actually looking forward to for sure.
I'll probably wear the heritage armor for 5 minutes, and then I'll decide, I'll see something else that I'll like, and then I'll put that on. But I just feel like I at least want to have that achievement
under your belt kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to play Horde in order to be able to go Nightborn, and if I'm gonna put myself through all that, I really, really just want to enjoy that experience. It's really weird for me to even say that. I've been telling people for the last couple of months that I'm gonna be maining one Horde and one Alliance.
I mean, it's one thing for you to boost the Druid and then level it up, but to go from level 20 to 110 as Horde, it's like you're gonna have a whole new level of respect for Horde.
Well, I did that with my Horde Belle. I leveled her normal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was leveled normal. It wasn't fun for anyone, guys, because I was lost. I had to Google every 5 seconds the different maps because I didn't have any earthly clue or idea or anything regarding direction. Or it's not like Eastern Kingdoms where I instantly knew, or Kalimdor or Northrend where I instantly knew what maps I needed to go to. It was bad for business. Anyway. The rest of the PTR stuff, most of this is just maintenance. I don't feel like it's anything that we need to talk about today. We could probably save that for next week, because I actually want to go into PTR and check out some of the stuff that's visible to us and kind of see where we're going with that. But regarding the leveling changes, Rem and I had... Oh, yeah. Well, Rem had the unique pleasure of leveling with me the other day. I wanted to level from 1 to 20, and then I'm going to level from 20 to 40 or 50. I want to get kind of each little chunk. But he went in with me to level, and he leveled his priest. I leveled my my warlock. It was a nightmare. Anytime you're doing anything with me is a nightmare, because I'm squirrel all over the place. And yeah, it was... I was yelling at people for ruining my video, and there was this add-on that was doing weird stuff, and it was...
Yeah, no, they need to work out some kinks in that, some of those zones, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you mean the fact that if I didn't have Rem with me, I wouldn't have been able to do anything, because every time I picked up a new quest, I had to reload to see the quest, otherwise it wouldn't show up in my tracker.
Mm-hmm.
And then it wouldn't even auto show up in my... tracked quests. I would have to go and manually track it all, and then every time I turned into quest, it would still show that I was on that quest. So Rem had to tell me when we were done with the quest, because...
And it was a weird bug. I've never seen that ever in the game, so I think it has something to do with the fact that they're overhauling the 11 experience.
Yeah, he tried to insinuate that it was only me, that he had never had that problem, and then kind of towards the end there, he did a thing, and he was like, oh, now it's doing it to me. And I was like, secretly inside.
Because I logged out, logged back in. So it seems like a chance of it bugging out. But I'm hoping, obviously, they're going to get it fixed. But it's an interesting bug.
It's pretty crappy.
It really is.
So
Yeah, the quest item. It's no.
let's talk about our leveling experience. Now, Rem is more of a technical type when it comes to World of Warcraft, where I just know I hit shit, stuff dies, right? I could tell you how long it takes me to hit shit and stuff dies, but I don't know the exact numbers of hitting shit and stuff dying. Rem, would it be better to break that down as far as the ease and the not ease? Because it's a mixed bag here regarding the leveling, because although the experience is more, the mobs are a little bit more difficult, but not unbearable, right?
It's not overbearingly hard, but there is a very noticeable difference. For instance, when we first hopped in and I had full-fledged heirloom gear, weapon, everything. I even had the special ring, the trinkets, and typically, in like for instance, Northshire Abbey, you one hit, everything dies. You smite, it dies. It took 2 to 3 hits for some of the mobs, and I, as partly as a test, I pulled like 5 or 6 of the goblins assassins that's in there, and I actually almost died.
He said this was a bad idea. And I think I was messing around with something. I was not paying attention, and I was like, holy shit, I'm coming. And then I had to like run to the other side to give him some type of assistance. I don't know how to warlock at that level, guys. I haven't been
Shadowbolt.
I go to put my stuff on the bar at level 1, and I'm like, oh, I have Shadowbolt. Cool. Nothing else. Got it. We're just gonna hit shit with sticks back in the old days. But I did, and I think Rem shares that same opinion, probably more so for me because I probably don't remember a lot of the content, because when I first leveled, I leveled Belle. This was in 2008. So when I first leveled Belle, don't know that I would remember any of those quests. And then any alts that I've leveled, we map hop so quickly the way that current leveling is. In like 4 or 5 quests, you're out of there. We actually got to finish the entire... What did we do? We did
the entirety of Elwyn and Westfall, and some quests for Bug and Redridge. But we actually got to do the entirety of it instead of... There was a farm that I hadn't been in since before Kata, because after that, there was no reason to do it because you're already out of the zone.
There was quests I don't even remember. And normally it's so instinctive to me to automatically know what map I need to go to once I hit a certain level. It was really weird to not have to keep map hopping. I kept like instinctively wanting to pull up my map so that I could go to the next place, or instinctively gonna ask a guildie that isn't in PTR to drop me off somewhere so that I don't have to try to figure out how to get through over and around a mountain. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
And I'm looking forward to on live doing it on an actual basis where it's going through the entirety of everything. Not like everything, but it's really nice.
Our only flaw in our 1 to 20 plan is we didn't do any dungeons, which given the new changes, that's when you want to do the dungeons, because you won't out level whatever quest you're doing in a dungeon like you normally do. That's part of the frustration. We didn't take advantage of that, and because we didn't take advantage of that, and we just were doing straight questing, we kind of felt that a little bit in the length of time it took to level. I think it felt like hours because I kept stopping, and I had a lot of stuff going on in between our trying to level, and I was focused on not leveling. But I think it felt like for me that it took a little bit longer to reach those levels than it would have normally. Although it was quick, guys, don't get me wrong, it wasn't slow. It just felt like it used to be faster, but that could also be because we were doing dungeons. We normally do dungeons, and maybe because we weren't doing them.
Yes and no. Because like you saw the graph where it was the differences between the leveling experience, where instead of going spiking, and then like spiking again, it's all gradual. So it's technically the same amount of time overall, but there's a noticeable difference in how quickly you're just leveling, because I've leveled without dungeons, without anything before. So
it's probably this exact same, if not a little bit better, but I'm used to the quick times where it's like back to back because you're doing a dungeon. And this was even before they nerfed the experience you got from leveling in dungeons. Yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. So it's probably just about the same. If it didn't feel long for you, then I know that it was just me.
Anyways, so
You're so immature. God.
but no, it's gonna bring back the DPS dungeon queue because, like you mentioned before, you do a dungeon, and I can't go back to this map because the quests literally give me nothing. And now you can do that. You can sit there, do your questing, sit in like a 20-minute queue, do the dungeon, get like your dungeon. I usually only do it for the dungeon quests, and you do that, and then you start back to doing questing, and you're back where you want to be. You don't have to go from all the way from Red Ridge all the way up to Arathi Highlands or something crazy.
Well, and I think the zone scaling and the changes that they did along with that, obviously that pairs with them realizing that people are going to be leveling because of these allied races.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think it's nice that they are opting to do that now, so that way in the downtime, in between whatever this looks like content-wise, I don't really see us sitting several months with nothing content-related. I think Blizzard's learned their lesson in between in between expansions like that. I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay. Don't mark my words on it, guys, but I like to have a lot of faith, and I feel like Blizzard's learned their lesson. I know I can't handle another Siege of Orgrimmar. I was talking to one of my officers, Ren, the other day, and he was like, I can't deal. I'm having flashbacks. I'm emotionally triggered by the thought of being in Siege of Orgrimmar for a year.
Oh, for me, it's Dragon Soul. I didn't sit in Siege of Orgrimmar for that long throughout the whole year that it was open, but Dragon Soul for me was because that's the point in my raiding career was actually it was like a smallish server, but we were the top guild on that server. For the
was it an RP server?
No, it was a normal server.
Interesting.
But so we went through the content very quickly and we're stuck in it forever.
Yeah, I can't live that life. So I think we're going to be okay as far as that goes. Now,
Yeah,
with that, there's a lot of issues. I wouldn't say issues, but there's a lot of things to consider with, so we're recruiting these allied races, which then unlocks them, and we can then level from level 20 to level 110. It's kind of weird that this is a thing, and Rem's going to explain why, because they weren't there in the beginning. How are we going to put them and fit them in the story now?
Well, we have a lot of not only history on it, but there's been several instances in the story and the lore and actual experiences as characters. For instance, in raids and dungeons and Death Knights, for instance, they go through Outlands, which makes zero sense. You have
because they weren't introduced till Northrend.
Yeah.
Oh, I never actually thought about that.
And for instance, Pandaren is very, very. It makes sense because you have some Pandaren wanderers going around the world and helping people, like Cho and stuff like that.
Cho gets around though. That's my dude.
He does get around, giggity, but no, because he helped found Orgrimmar and Draenor and stuff like that. So there's instances of it, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense because of this. Because the origin story of some of these races is after all everything that's gone on Azeroth,
including like the Blood Totem, which is something. Is it are they called the Blood Totems, or am I saying that completely retarded?
No, the High Mountain. You have the Blood Totem, the Skyhorn, and the River guys. Because
the Blood Totem is who is at in PTR right now at Thunder Totem. They're taking up refuge right now, right?
Oh, because some of the Blood Totem chieftain and a lot of the tribe joined up with the Burning Legion, and so these are survivors / people that didn't give in to the Burning Legion.
So they're uncorrupted.
Yeah, so they're not corrupted. They're not terrorists or anything like that. They are refugees of their tribe.
They're not terrorists. That was super extra. Whoa.
Anyways.
Now the NSA is going to be watching us. Thanks for that, Rem. They're not going to get anything but comedy out of this house, so feel free to tap the phones. Okay, so what are some instances where this has occurred previously?
some examples. I've talked about Broxagar before. So Broxagar, Crassus, and Archmage Ronan, they were experiencing a time anomaly, and they got sent back in time to the War of the Ancients. So this is well before any World of Warcraft, any story like that. But it is an instance of it happening to where they go back in time before their time. See, time is timey-wimey stuff. Confuses
It's like Terminator all over again, where I'm trying to figure out how he's his own dad and his sister's his uncle.
But no, so they altered the past as their future selves, and so it got really confusing. For instance, with Coral Straws / Crassus, he was interacting with himself in the past, and so instead of everything imploding like it typically would in like a movie style, they were actually able to fight with each other and stuff like that. So
I would like to fight with my future or past self.
I can imagine two of you. Jesus Christ.
Wow, I think that would be an amazing gift bestowed upon society. Just kidding, guys.
So other examples of like timey-wimey stuff, but not really what we're going to be experiencing with the allied races, is Warlords of Draenor. It's 100% a timey-wimey expansion. So it's not going back in time. It's more of going from this timeline, splicing into this timeline. And so you're altering an alternate timeline instead of altering the future that is Outlands. And
I'm flashing back in my mind to when Lycan went through this, and he actually drew, he drew a thing
to get a whiteboard.
Yeah, he drew on a piece of paper to show me there's the one timeline, and then we dip down, and there's the other timeline.
And then in Burning Crusade, we go back in time to the Battle of Mount Hyjal. And Battle of Mount Hyjal goes on Warcraft 3. And so the storyline there is the not World War 3. It's the war is with the Burning Legion is attacking Mount Hyjal. Orcs, humans, night elves band together to fight against them, and us as heroes go back to fight that fight. I feel like we discussed recently that one of the Windrunner sisters was supposed to be blamed for setting something ablaze at Mount Hyjal? Okay, so that's future, that's BFA, but we can talk a little about that because that's actually interesting. Anyways, so the theory, one of the theories is that Sylvanas is obviously the one standing in the forefront of the concept art.
Uh-huh.
And then it's Varissa Windrunner that's sitting with arrows in her back and stuff like that. And the theory is that because she hates the Horde so much and she doesn't like what's going down, and so she actually starts the fire to start the
that's
turmoil.
my kind of chick. Like, I'm in. I don't like the Horde either. Like, I don't know. I would defend her. I don't know.
And some people are thinking it might be Illyria, but one, the armor doesn't match, and her personality is not in that manner at all, and she can't die.
Well, and my theory is that it's not any of them, that it's actually another force that we'll deal with in a future expansion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I mean, in terms of like a wow moment, I was thinking Varissa would be a possibility, but we'll see.
Or maybe she could be controlled. Is that a thing where she's maybe one of the old gods is playing her like a puppet?
Well, maybe not a puppet in the sense that she's in direct puppeteering by the old gods, but she can become under the influence. Yeah.
We'll have to shelf this for a whole other topic because I feel like that there's a lot to explore there.
Yeah, so you have the Battle of Mount Hyjal. We go back in time to help with that fight, but it's not like we're altering the timeline. It's more of making sure it keeps going the right way. And then in Cataclysm, we have the dungeon End of Time, and that's not really a going back in time. It's more of tying up loose ends that's coming back into our time. So we have Norz Dormu is the main, not only the antagonist, but, well, actually, he's the protagonist and the antagonist of the dungeon. And he is the leader of the Bronze Dragonflight. He is the reason why timelines are not completely batshit crazy in World of Warcraft.
Because the dragon flights are the ones that control that, right?
Yeah, the bronze, like Chromie and Norzormu, they make sure that everything stays how it is. Like, for instance, in Durnhold Keep, that's also another one where you have to go back in time to make sure that Infinite Dragonflight does not mess anything up and alter the timeline.
Right.
And so that brings me to the next point of End of Time, is we find out that Moruzond is the main antagonist, and that's why the main antagonist and the protagonist is Norzormu, because Moruzond is Norzormu. It is a future possibility for him, and it is a not only chaotic evil. Well, actually, yeah, chaotic evil, because he's trying to mess up all the timelines in a bad way.
But why though? I mean, I'm all for chaos, and I'm all for not having a reason for the chaos. Like, sometimes I think it's just to go nuts, but was there any nefarious reason outside of him just being bored?
No, for instance, if Thrall did not escape Dunehold Keep, the new Horde would never be created. The Arthas would never have to go to war. Lordaeron and all the surrounding kingdoms would not be in turmoil. They would not be dead. They would not be all messed up. Stormwind would still be, well, they could probably be rebuilt by this time. But it was trying to make everything better, but at the same time, it would make everything in the present time completely different. And that would be, in my opinion, worse off.
Yeah.
But.
Huh. Are you coughing? Are you puking? Yeah. Coughing or puking?
No, coughing.
It'd be really funny if you threw up, though. Just saying.
No, it wouldn't. But so that's why I wanted to speak on this, because Allied Races, we are going through all this but going all through this story to unlock the races and for them to join us. And they're coming in right after we stop the Burning Legion from taking over the Broken Isles. But they start at level 20. And so they do the little scenario where their other people are, and then they start off they start questing in Restfall.
Who does? Not all of them.
Not all of them. For instance, you on your Nightborn, you could start in the Barrens or maybe Silver Pine Forest.
But I wouldn't know what that exists. I wouldn't have never have been there, right?
Exactly. So this is because the content is back in time, but it's current. Like, that's where I was I don't know if it's just lazy writing or maybe what it could be. Like, they could have done something like they did for Demon Hunters or Death Knight.
We don't really know where they're going to be leveling. Do you
think they have level 20 to 110 and
no, I guess that you're right. That wouldn't make sense. But I do know that there is an initial map that each one levels on, and I only know that because I was dabbling in the data mining and I pulled the maps for each of the allied races. So it could, maybe that's where the intro stuff happens? Question mark.
So what? Maybe did they? No, that'd be spoiling. Never mind.
I know there's a lot of stuff we can't really say.
No, I wanted to talk about it because they've done this in the past before, and it's interesting that they're going to be doing this with something so fresh when they could make it so good. They could either, I don't know,
like a surprise backstory that we never would have known,
or you start out like a higher level, like you start out at 100 or something other.
Yeah. Oh, like you're saying with the Demon Hunters, they started at 98. So
yeah, so like you keep the story. What's the word? You keep it pristine. You don't have a Nightborn or a Void Elf appearing in Westfall or Silverpine Forest,
which we would have never have known. I mean, they might have existed, but they didn't exist in our World of Warcraft.
Exactly. That's why it somewhat makes sense for Pandaren, because they were able to wander the world at that time. And for Death Knights, it makes zero sense for Outlands, but right after Outlands, you go into Northrend, and it makes sense to go through that content in terms of the story. But because this is where it gets confusing for me.
So what was happening? So let's go back to Westfall. What was happening with the Nightborn at that point in time? Was this before they all became crack addicts? And it
No,
was
at this
just...
point they were crack addicts. This is like maybe less than 10 years before the events on the Broken Isles. So they were in Surmar, closed off from the world still at this point.
Got it. Not going anywhere. They were completely...
Yeah, no, the only person that knew about the island at this very point would be Illidan, Gul'dan, and Jack Thul.
Maybe we're going to be like
island.
escapees, right? So for Nightborn, maybe we're going to be... want to live like the Stepford arcane wine crackheads, right?
Well, that's why it doesn't make sense. The story for the Nightborn is Liadrin. Well, no, that's not only spoilery. We already know this.
How do we know this? Are you sure? Do I know this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Liadrin talks to them. They join the Horde.
Oh, okay, you're right. I remember there was
Yeah, so it's not like they're because Void Elves weren't even a thing before Illyria Windrunner.
Maybe we're not going to be Horde while we're leveling, or Alliance. Maybe it's going to be like Pandarans, where they are just that neutral until they hit a certain level. That would make sense to me. Because if and I think I understand, so perhaps we are neutral until we hit a certain point. What would you say would be a good point to pop out as Horde or Alliance in regards to the allied factions or the allied races?
When you create it?
No, but like, so obviously you're saying it wouldn't make sense for Nightborn or High Mountain Tauren to be leveling in these zones at that time because we didn't know they existed in our world. So if we're back in that time zone, we wouldn't know who they were. Maybe they're neutral until... What?
But it still wouldn't make sense for them to go through any of the story. Because all the old zones in the vanilla world is at the timeline of when Cataclysm started. It was right after the Cataclysm. So even if you were to go back in time, like if they send it back in a time anomaly or in a time machine, it's still... is lazy writing in the sense that there would be repercussions for us to come in contact with this race that no one else knows about. Like they'd be like, oh, in my brain, I'd be like, who is this guy? No one knows what it is. What is he doing here?
Yeah, that's what happened when John Connor sends his dad back in time and then he finds out that it's his dad the whole time because he didn't know it was his dad. Explain that to me. I still don't understand that, people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm even trying to think about it right now in my head, and I still don't understand.
Me too.
Like, I'm trying to grasp the concept, but the repercussions is...
Like, he's his mom.
Yeah, I don't understand. Somebody,
but
can you explain to me Terminator and how that is even humanly, physically possible? Because he would have had... I can't even get into it because it doesn't make my brain hurt. Timey-wimey stuff. So, what does this mean, then?
For me personally, it just means that
it's not authentic in the story, right? Because it's kind of like the story doesn't matter at this point.
I mean, it matters, but I don't want to say it's lazy, but it doesn't make sense for them to go through the content. I mean, they have to find a way to level them up since they're doing level 20 to 110, but
maybe somebody, those of you listening or watching...
That's what I was going to say. Like, what do you guys think about it? Like,
does anybody have any theories on how this can be a thing and still make sense in the story? If you do, comment. Address it to Rem. Because he'll read them probably before I will. Usually when it's lore related, I still read it. Timey-wimey. Yeah. Comments on the show. Send an email and I'll forward the email over to Rem, bell@pwnecast.net if you're audio only, or direct message, or even reach out to Rem on Twitter at remedies_pwnecast. And I'm interested to see what some of you guys think, honestly, and I'm sure Rem is. It's very rare that I find Rem at a loss for words. He doesn't even really have any theories either, which is also equally... It's a little unnerving, Rem. I expect better because you're the guy that knows all the things.
mean, I have my theories, but none of it would make sense because there's nowhere for it to go in a positive format. It makes me sad.
You're making me sad now. Well, maybe there's a secret we don't know, and that's why all that stuff's like
maybe
hidden in the background. I know that they have... We haven't seen anything leveling related. We've only seen the acquisition of the allied races to each faction, and we've only seen the 4. We still haven't seen the Dark Iron Dwarfs or the Zandalari Trolls, which, Rem and I's theory, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. We think that's because that's going to be closer to BFA, maybe.
It's going to be in the middle of it, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe there's going to be some revealing things there, and that's why they're not in...
Oh, my.
Well, I always feel like I overshoot, and then maybe it's really not that complicated. Maybe me and Rem complicated, and it's really just because they haven't developed those two just yet.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I don't know.
It's done. It's just related.
I feel like it is too. I really do feel like it's done. I do feel like it's done.
They don't reveal anything related to the model unless it's like fleshed out.
No, and the only information we got is from Q&As. There's been nothing kind of since then, so I think
the back end of it, yeah.
Maybe they're like deeply ingrained in the BFA story. Like it's something that they can't tell like before, otherwise it'll be spoilery question mark?
Yeah, Zandalari makes 100%. It makes sense 100%.
Because it's in Zandalar.
It's because it's related to Zandalar, but the Dark Iron Dwarves, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around.
And if I recall correctly, when we talked about Zandalar, we have to help one of the zones there that's having an internal civil war, right? It's the Blood Trolls. And I'm thinking that might be how we acquire the Zandalari Trolls, because perhaps we help them and they want to
they're indebted to them, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, they want to do us a solid, and they're like, hey, you helped our civil war, we're going to help you. So actually, I just barely made that connection. But the Dark Iron Dwarves, I don't know anything about them outside of, I think we've seen them in the older zones.
Yeah, so Searing Gorge.
Yeah, I was just about to say my least favorite place is like Searing Gorge, Burning Steps, and Badlands are like
Burning
all
Steps,
the maps
Burning
I hate.
Steeps, whatever it's called. Yeah, that's when they were just straight up bad.
I don't like any of them, and they killed me quite a bit on my lower levels. They killed me. They killed me dead. Well, I'm interested to see what some of you guys are going to come up with regarding that, because that's I don't know that I considered that or would have considered it. I guess that's why you're the lore guy, because I would have just arbitrarily been leveling and been like, this is great. Yeah, I never.
It's more of the role playing story aspect of it, but
oh, you dirty little freak! You heard that, guys? He's into role playing.
Whoa. Wormus Accord level roleplay, not Moonguard, okay?
Well, not all Moonguard is like that, although there are 90%. Our fair share of ERPers. I've seen some stuff in a graveyard with Shaman in Ghost Wolf form. It was pretty... and a Druid. It was really super... And I was staring, too. It was rude. If you're that couple that I ran into on Moonguard, I apologize, guys. Because it was bad for business. I'm sorry.
Voyeurism in the game, Jesus Christ.
At least I didn't record it. Maybe I did. I'm pretty sure I took screenshots, actually. Okay. Part of one of the things that we're going to be doing each week is we're going to be doing the Mount of the Week. And the Mount of the Week is going to be things that you can do to get a mount. Maybe one you have, maybe one you don't have. We don't really know. We're just going to throw them out there and see what sticks to the wall. Rem, what do we have this week for the Mount of the Week?
So it's one of my, I want to do something that's kind of current, but it's one of my favorite ones that they added that I have not gotten, unfortunately. One, because I'm lazy, and two, because there's actually quite a bit of work that goes into it. But now that I'm actually talking about it, and I actually read all the comments and I read some guides on it, and I'm tempted to do it maybe this month. But so it's going to be the reigns of the long forgotten Hippogryph. So it is the same updated model.
I should have grabbed a picture. I apologize. I should have grabbed a picture.
It's all good. But so it's got your basic Hippogryph model, but it's got a mixture of pink and purple in it. And so what it is you have to collect 5 ephemeral crystals in Azuna. So you're competing against everyone on your server. The first person to collect 5 gets it. When that person collects 5, the rest of the crystals are reset. Your count is reset. You have to wait until they refresh, and you have to be the first one to collect 5. And I'll link I'll put a link to the comments on Wowhead where it shows all the locations, because there's like coordinates. There's a full synopsis on that.
How often does the reset? Does the reset happen as soon as somebody collects the 5?
I believe so. I'd have to double check, but it's like back to back. So
okay. So probably the times when rarely when people are on your server would probably be the best bet. Or
yeah, probably like
if you're bored. Yeah, unless if you're bored, just go ham. If you're on a PvP server, really go ham, because that's the time. We'll make sure we put the comments, the Wowhead link in the description. If you are, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio or one of the other ones, just go to Wowhead and search the Long Forgotten Hippogryph, and you'll see all that information in the comments. The players are really good about putting together these guides for stuff like this. I love reading the comments to be able to figure stuff out. I actually feel like this is going to be added to my to-do list because I love hippogriffs. I like the way that they run when they're in non-flight mode, and I think I have
the ground.
I have an ugly one. It's not ugly, but it's not like a color.
Is it the Cenarian War Hippogryph?
Maybe. It's one that I wouldn't
like
choose.
Green and blue, kind of.
Maybe. I really want the Argent.
That's what, yeah. That, again, I have all the Argent and the Champion Seals, and I just need...
I don't have any of that stuff because I don't know what to do for it, but it does need to be... that.
Why? Because you didn't really play during Wrath.
I did not. Well, I mean, I did, but I didn't. I didn't know what to do back then, right? I was not in. I was just running around hitting stuff with a stick. It wasn't.
Like a recharge trying to help a doorknob.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I didn't know anything about life back then. Also, it's about that time where it's towards the end of content. While there is a ton of content, guys, there's always something new to do. And there's
new archaeology.
Right. Nobody wants to level archaeology, but each week I'm going to give you guys something to do, and it could be something to do before a certain time or just something to remind you of. I thought about this week, and I had started in the very beginning once the class mounts were out, and I started working on all my alts, and I've kind of strayed from that a little bit due to the day-to-day in WoW, and I kind of forgot that I had a personal goal where I wanted all my alts to have their class mount, and I was working on the mage, and I kind of I got busy with other things. So for what to do in World of Warcraft this week, you can work on your class mounts for any alts that you have leveled, or if you're almost leveled and you're about to hit 110, you can start working on those class mounts. Now, I know it might seem like a lot of overwhelming things that you have to do, but it's really not, so I'm going to break it down for you really quick. When you hit a 110, or if you already have 110s already, you need to complete your class hall campaign. While that is a lot, it really isn't a lot because it's not being gated by anything. We could do it back to back. You could just go in and get it done. Part of that is you have to get the achievement A Glorious Campaign. That's how you know your class hall stuff is done, is you get the achievement A Glorious Campaign. Once you've done that, you need to go to Broken Shore and you need to do Breaching the Tomb. It's really easy. Open up your achievement window, search Breaching the Tomb so you can see exactly what you need to do. There is a total of 15 quests for this. Super easy now that it's not gated anymore. When this first came out, it was a different quest every week, and it took us X amount of time to be able to get this. They've also nerfed the requirements for most of these quests. Where I think initially, like the treasure chest one, there was 20, and I think now there's only 3. it basically takes 5 seconds. Some of the ones in between,
not 5 seconds,
well,
but
okay.
it takes a little bit of effort.
It does take a little bit of effort, but not a whole lot of effort, especially since the majority of like the middle where you have to farm like 50 demons and 100 of this and 50 blah blah blahs, you could just hop in Group Finder and get that knocked out really quick. It's not that complicated. It's super easy. I know that some of you might not have realized how really easy it is. Throw some Netflix on, get on some of your alts. If you only have like a level 2 to go to your maxed out, just kind of make that your focus. If you don't want all of your class mounts, just focus on the alts that you have that you would like to see those mounts on visually. Because now is as good a time as any to have those. I mean, they're class mounts.
And if you don't do it now, you're going to be too busy in the next expansion.
Right.
If you don't do it then, you're going to be too busy for the next one.
Right. So for this week, what to do in WoW, my suggestion is to focus on a little bit of class mounts, a class mount action if you have fallen along the path of righteousness like I have.
So you level the Paladin?
No. That's like
the
Paladin and the Warrior, like the only two that I'm so scared of. Ugh.
Paladin's so easy. You literally put your face.
I'm like derpy do melee, right? Like the Rogue is fun. But
Judgment is ranged.
I'm like derpy do.
Judgment.
I also don't like playing classes that my friends play. Because then I always feel like a moron when I'm playing there. I don't know. It's weird.
Is that why you don't play Priest?
I actually never really understood Shadow, to be perfectly honest. The rotation didn't quite click for me. I thought that it would just because, I mean, they're kind of a hybrid DPS dot type of situation. I personally don't really like dots, so it wasn't fun for me. I didn't understand a lot of it.
It's less dots nowadays, actually.
That would probably be cool. I mean, I've tried. Trust me, I've tried, and it would just the rotation just didn't stick to me. I don't know. I feel like you're born to play certain things, and then you're not born to play. I would love to, because have you seen Shadow Priest DPS in PvP? Yeah, shit's through the roof. I would love to be a Shadow Priest for 5 minutes to just be...
Okay, so on that note, really quick, and the battleground for Shadow Priest, I mean, yeah, I'm typically like top 3 easy, but that's, I'm gonna be honest, that's 75% padding the meters, because I'm just like, Shadowed Pain, Shadowed Pain.
That's so awful. God, and here I am working for my meal with every single Chaos Bolt, like I'm literally working.
But no, if I'm targeting someone and then yeah, no, there's a bunch of damage because.
Well, it's the same with Affliction. Affliction is it's constant spread damage where.
No, that one's like on crack. Like they're
Destro's bursty, right? I have burst moments where I'm OP, but it's not like consistent throughout the entire time. So I like that though. I like having a burst.
I'm trying to tell you though, Destro is actually really good in an arena.
We are going to discuss arenas for sure. There's been a lot of change, so we'll talk about stepping back into that. I know that I am working on the RBG team. I have had several people who are keen to get started again with RBGs, and that makes me super happy. I think I have 7 people. I have 7 people so far. We're gonna make it happen. That's what we're gonna do in the in-between time, in-between expansion. Probably when I'm done, like I'll start building the team during the progression. I think we've got maybe 2 more weeks on heroic, and then, you know, it should be pretty well on farm status, I think, question mark. Not 100% sure, but then I'll have time to be able to put that kind of stuff together, because I do miss RBGs. Even though I'm frustrated with PvP right now, I do. I PvP'd last week, and I just miss that feeling. Okay. So, before we get out of here, Rem, what did you do this week in World of Warcraft?
So this week, because this is the second week of not raiding, I'm going to be quite honest, I was a little excited to just actually game on my Sunday, but Monday I was dying. Anyways, this week I did a lot on the alts. I actually did quite a bit on the Druid and the Hunter. I'm going to be doing Marksman on the Hunter because, like I said, survival seemed like a fun idea for melee, but it turned me off for Legion. But I was just getting them ready. I was doing all the miscellaneous stuff like transmog, make sure all that's I gotta look pristine.
Yeah, because it takes 2 days for me to transmog whatever I'm leveling before I'm good to go and ready.
That's why I'm so good at Trial of Style. But anyways, so I was doing the BG, not only BGs, but I was doing a little bit of skirmishes on the Hunter, just to test all that stuff out. But not a lot of PvP this week. Last week we did the BGs. That was quite fun. But
it was Warsong Scramble, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty fun. I had a good time.
But it's because I used to be pretty fun. I used to be pretty good on the Druid. So I'm thinking of making that one of my main secondary alts for BFA. And I was just leveling it out, gearing it out, and having fun with that. And yeah. Oh, and we're doing the leveling on PTR for what? 4 hours? About 2 hours of it was actually leveling, but it was I'm gonna reiterate on the fact that I'm so looking forward to this leveling experience for the level revamp and everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I have all these ideas of things that I want to level, and I just want to go nuts. And then I know when I actually go to sit down and do it, it's probably not going to happen because I have other stuff that I need to do.
No, so for me, the only drawback from my brain thinking I'm going to level is the fact that I have to map hop. So this is really the best thing they could do for me right now.
So you're saying they're feeding your addiction.
Exactly.
Got it. I'll probably actually be able to do the warrior and the
I went to my dealer just to get weed again, and he gave me crack on accident.
Now you're hooked. I still have tunes that I need to bring to 110. They're 100. I just need to bring them. I really need to quit being lazy, guys. I am lazy, and it's not really that I'm lazy. For my week in WoW, I spent most of it in PTR because I got these videos that I wanted to do sooner rather than later, but I like to make sure that my videos are the most up-to-date, comprehensive, so I went in there trying to figure out a thing, and I couldn't figure out the thing. I got frustrated figuring out the thing. Rem and Lycan tried to help me figure out the thing. The thing didn't get figured out, guys, and I'm very sad and depressed, and we'll talk about the thing another time, because, we like talking about our things here on the good old Pwnecast, but... Yeah. I had a great time on New Year's Eve with the guild. We did, a lot of us got super drunk, which was really nice. I had a small hangover the next day. Not really a hangover per se, because I don't really get hangovers. I just was super tired because
that's a hangover.
We stayed up pretty late. It was like 3 or 4. And then I have to be a mom at like 7 in the morning because my kids don't care that I was being irresponsible and drinking all night with my friends on the internet. They want their breakfast and they want to be entertained when it's their vacation. So I haven't gotten a whole lot done because my kids have been home. And by the time I get on the computer to play WoW, I'm so tired because these kids are just, you guys know how it is when you don't have kids all week because they're at school and they've been home for almost 3 weeks. And I just want them to go back to school. During the day, it's a nightmare. There's no quietness. I'm working on getting what I need to block off this room so that I can soundproof it. It's just going to be a little expensive because I don't own the home. So I have to do temporary things to it. Anyway, with that being said, I did not do as much as I wanted of actual live WoW, but I did trying to get my final legendary. It's not my final legendary, but it's the final legendary in my book as far as what I need. It's I think it's Soul of the Netherlord, ? I know it's something.
Oh, that's your secondary best in slot.
Yeah, that's the one that...
it's the ring.
It lets you have your... it lets you have your... Completely had a breakdown right now. It lets you have your...
Was it Deal the Talents?
Your Ember, your... Empowered Life Tap. You don't have to choose between that talent set of Empowered Life Tap and I think Eradication.
So you can have Eradication.
Yes, I can have Eradication and I can have the Life Tap, the Empowered Life Tap. Because there's According to my Residence Method Warlock, some fights I need to use Eradication, other fights I need to use the Empowered Life Tap. With that, I don't have to make the choice. It's just there all the time. So that's really the one. It's the one that I need to have. So I've been doing all the random things, including trying to force people against their will to pop out their...
Whoa. Context.
There. Guys, I'm struggling because of my brain is just complete meltdown mode right now. The Blingatrons, right? Any little chance I could possibly get to get Proc a Legendary, I've been...
Fuck that guy. He hasn't given me shit.
I know. He just... I need one more of the books for that achievement. The binary books.
I've been trying to get that since Miss.
So what you're saying is I'm never going to get it. No. If you are not getting it, I'm never going to get it. Fuck.
I've been an engineer since Kata, and when they did that sneaky little book thing, yeah, no, I haven't gotten it yet.
Man. Well, guys, that about wraps it up for tonight's show. Some of you are probably going, wow, only an hour? Yep, guys, just a little over an hour. We are still adapting and trying to catch our footing a little bit with the content that we're adding. And there is going to be more to come. Bear with us while we enter this new era of Pwnecast and the show. I'm really, really hoping that we can take this opportunity to really bring you things that I've always wanted to bring you, but have been afraid because the amount of people that we've had. So I'm going to take this opportunity to really just do the things that I've always wanted to do as far as bringing people on and in-depth conversation and just a lot of really, really good talk, right? Because that's why you guys listen and watch. You guys like to talk equally as much as I do, as much as Rem does. We love to discuss World of Warcraft in all facets. So you're going to see tons of things. We're going to be talking about raiding. We're going to be talking about PvP. We are going to be throwing a lot of things in the mix from week to week, and I'm really, really excited for the changes. So we are glad that you guys are sticking it out with us, I'm assuming, right? You know what happens when they assume.
We're going to have blackjack and hookers.
Blow? No? Are we blow free?
We're blow free.
Well, you didn't mention the blow. Anytime hookers is mentioned, I just
I was going to say they come with that.
Do they bring it? Is that what happens? The hookers bring the blow? Or do you have to buy the blow separately?
It depends.
He made it super weird. But guys, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. As always, I want to thank you for spending your hour and a half with us every single week. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to Rem, and we are going to go the fuck to sleep because we're dead. I'm over today, guys. I'm over it. It was a shit show. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Until next time, we will see you in Azeroth. That was my sad face. My sad face because we were ending. I lost my... Nothing is on the desk where I put it pre-show. I have no idea where everything is. I have, like, no clue. I had stuff, like, strategically placed. Like, my chapstick was in one spot and my vape was in another spot. Like, everything was gone. I'm about to wolf down this food, though. Hero got because I'm freaking starving like Marvin.